What is going on, guys and gals? It's your boy J-Love coming at you with another video about non-CDL and CDL hotshot. In this video, we're going to be talking about realism. We're going to talk about realistic numbers, realistic expectations when it comes to hotshot, especially when you're first starting out. Channel though, my name is Jason Love. I'm one of the co-owners of Flash Love Logistics LLC. We are a trucking company. We currently are doing hotshot, but we're looking to get into semi truck and to get into dump truck and get into the whole nine. So that's what we're gonna be doing in the future. But I've had a lot of comments recently on my videos. A lot of people asking me, what are some realistic numbers? You know, I've made numbers breakdowns, but they're basically saying, like, if I'm just getting started, what can I look to make? What's going to be an average rate per mile? How long do I have to work? How long do I need to be on the road? A lot of that stuff, right? So I want to kind of talk about that, talk about the numbers and kind of see how it works with you. Now, if you guys don't know, in the hotshot realm, or like medium duty hauling, which is what we consider hotshot, you know, you got like a medium duty truck with 35-foot flatbed, 40-foot flatbed. There are kind of two groups, you know, you got the non-CDL and the CDL. So non-CDL, you stay under 26,000 pounds all the time. You're only rated for 26,000 pounds. And then if you do a CDL setup, which basically means you're rated for over 26,000 pounds, you could get rated up to 54,000 pounds, I've seen sometimes. But usually you're roughly going to be about 40,000 or 44,000 pounds when they're talking GVWR, so gross vehicle weight rating. I'm using a haul around 20 to 24,000 pounds depending. So there are going to be a couple ways we're going to look at this. We're talking about kind of what the non-CDL numbers are going to look like and then what the CDL numbers are going to look like, because there is a difference. And so we'll go from there. So let's say, for example, you just saw a video, you want to get into hotshot. You're like, yes, I'm going to do it. I have a F350 dually. I have a 35-foot gooseneck. I want in this. I want to do it, but I'm scared. You know, I don't know how much money I'm going to make. Now, we've had the opportunity to have a non-CDL setup, so a setup rated for 26,000 pounds. On the road for about 6 months. Also, we had a lease on. He as well had a non-CDL setup that we were running. So we've had the opportunity to book a lot of loads, non-CDL loads, or loads that weigh roughly 10,000 pounds or less, and kind of do non-CDL for a while. And then we also have Ray, who's leased on with us. He's rated for 44,000 pounds. He can haul up to 21,000 pounds. So I've been able to see the difference between the CDL and the non-CDL. Now, with the non-CDL, I'd say that a good expectation for a rate per mile would be between $1.60 and $1.80 per mile. The reason is there are going to be dedicated loads that you're going to be able to take that are full-size loads that are going to pay over $2 a mile. They're going to be really good loads for you. But a lot of times you're going to be stuck taking smaller partials or partials that are supposed to go on a full-size flatbed. So those don't pay as well. You know, you might average with those $1 a mile, $1.10, $1.20, $1.30. And then you're going to constantly be trying to pair those up with another one to get a high rate per mile. Now, there are going to be a lot of loads out there that are going to pay you over $2 per mile. But I'd say on average, your rate per mile is going to be about $1.60, $1.80. You know, you'll have some dedicated loads that are going to be $1.50, $1.60, $1.70 per mile. Now, what I've seen the difference is with doing the CDL or having a setup that can haul more, I've seen that rate per mile average around $2.30, $2.40. Some weeks we have really good weeks at $2.70 per mile. Other weeks, you know, our lower weeks about $2.20 per mile. But we're able to always stay over the $2. I think we've hauled maybe 2 or 3 loads that are about $1.90, $1.80 per mile, just because we get in some tight positions and we need to haul some freight, right? But with the CDL route, you are going to have a lot more availability of freight. So you're going to have a lot more loads, especially if you're caught in an area that doesn't have much freight. You're still going to be able to find a load that pays good enough to be hauled by you. But when you do go non-CDL, you are going to get stuck a lot more, I believe, and you're going to have to take a lot of loads that don't pay as well as you want them to. Right, so I say that would probably be an average rate per mile. Now, if you're doing non-CDL hotshot, I mean, if you look at your rate per mile, let's say it's $1.60 per mile, then you have to look at how many miles you're willing to drive during the week, right? So, I mean, I'd say a full week or a good week would be about 3,000 miles. That gives you about 500 to 600 miles a day, plus a restart. And if you do, you know, 3,000 miles, you could most likely gross roughly, You know, on the low end, $4,800. The high end would be $6,000, $6,500, just depending on how that week was. And the one thing you guys need to understand is with Hotshot, especially when you're starting out, one week can be really good, the next week can be really bad. You could get stuck in an area, you could have a problem. There's sometimes that we get a load that pays pretty good, but we just wind up getting to the place a little later in the day, noon or 1 o'clock. And then we're not able to book another load because a lot of places close at 2 or 3 p.m. And then we basically wasted a night. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but that stuff happens, you know. Or you go try to pick a load up and it's not as described. They're waiting to get somebody to load you. Then you lose a day trying to get loaded. Then maybe the load doesn't even work out and you lose the whole day anyways. So a lot of little things can happen like that. But I'd say roughly if you're doing non-CDL hotshot, I'd say you should be able to gross at least $4,000 per week if you're willing to work the whole week. If it's a really good week and you're getting a good rate per mile, you'd be looking upwards to about $6,500, $7,000, $8,000 depending. I've seen, you know, if you go on YouTube, you can watch basically everybody's best week. They always post it on YouTube. I've posted a couple of really good weeks we've had. But I'd say a good average to think about is to be about $4,000. That's just being safe, guys. That's just being safe. But you can definitely make more than that. But I'd say if you're willing to work hard, drive the whole week, and just kind of send it, $4,000, at least $4,000 is a good goal to have, and a good realistic number to have in your head. Obviously, $6,000 is very achievable as well. But you will have weeks where you only make 2 or 3, you know, because you're gonna have a bad week. Something bad's gonna happen. You're going to have a breakdown on the truck, breakdown on the trailer, a load's going to mess you up, you're going to have some trouble with the DOT or whatever. You know, that stuff can happen all the time. But that's where I'd be looking. What else can I tell you guys there? And then you look at your cost per mile, right? So your cost per mile is going to average from anywhere from $1.20 per mile to... No, probably from $1 per mile to about $1.40 per mile is what I see people's cost per mile. When I'm saying cost per mile, I'm basically saying what it costs for you to move your truck, and that's gonna be everything in consideration. So if you're gonna drive your truck, you should consider yourself a driver and pay yourself accordingly. So you're considered a cost, right? So the cost per mile is gonna have you. It's gonna have your fuel. It's gonna have your truck payment. It's gonna have your trailer payment. It's gonna have like basically everything you need to run, right? So your insurance there. Your ELD, your load boards, the whole nine, right? That's all going to be wrapped into what is my cost per mile, right? And your cost per mile is going to go down if you run more miles. And the reason I say that is because you're going to have fixed costs, right? Your fixed costs are going to be your insurance, your truck payment, your trailer payment, and then a couple other little things. Now, what a fixed cost is that means even if you take a month off, you're still going to have to pay your insurance, you're still going to have to pay your truck payment, you're still going to have to pay your trailer payment. So if you only run 1,000 miles that month, you still have these costs, right? Your fuel might not be as high and everything else might not be as high, but your cost per mile is going to be pretty high for those 1,000 miles because you still have to pay your insurance, your truck payment, and your trailer payment than whatever else you have, right? But if you're running more miles per month, then you divide those miles into what your fixed cost is, and you're going to have a lower cost per mile. If you guys can understand that, right? So your cost per mile can definitely change. But I'd say realistically, you're going to be looking at probably $1.20 per mile, $1.30 per mile, and you're going to be averaging about $1.60, $1.70, or $1.80 per mile making that. So you're looking at about profit of 40 cents per mile for the business, right? Because we're already talking about paying yourself as a driver. You could probably pay yourself pretty good as a driver. And then, you know, whatever your business profits, right? So that's kind of talking more non-CDL, you know, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and hop over a little bit to the CDL side of things. And the difference here, and what I really like with this, is the availability of freight. Now, there's going to be a lot more availability of freight for a setup that can haul more weight. It's going to help you out a lot more with booking partials and getting out of places, because that's a big deal, guys, is trying to get out of places that you're stuck and trying to, you know, make good money, because we're all here to chase the money, right? If I see a load paying $3 a mile, you know, there's some places I won't go, but if it's say, hey, $3 a mile, we're going to Phoenix, Arizona, I say, we're going to Phoenix, Arizona, you know, even though I know that's not really a hub for freight, but having the ability to haul a lot of weight gives us the ability to find freight or to book partials to go with each other, right? So that's definitely something that's super awesome when it comes to CDL Hotshot. Now, talking CDL Hotshot, or talking, you know, medium duty hauling, a truck that can a setup that you have the ability to probably haul more than 20,000 pounds. I'd say a good rate per mile that you could be at realistically would be about $2.30 per mile to $2.50 per mile. Obviously, you're going to have weeks where you can have a $2.70 per mile week or a $2 per mile week, right? But there should be a rare occurrence when you're hauling for under $2 per mile. I'm dying. But that should be a rare occurrence. I think realistically, you can stay about the $2.30 per mile mark. When I'm booking loads for Ray, I'm always looking for more than $2.30. That's where I want to be, right? If it's less miles, I want more per mile. If it's more miles, if I can find something that's 1,000 miles at $2.30 per mile or $2.50 per mile, perfect load, let's run it, Make good money. 1,000 miles is 2 days. Pick on Monday, drop on Wednesday, you know what I'm saying? Then we move from there. So I'd say a good weekly gross number, this is gross, right? This is before you take all your costs and everything out. I could say with CDL Hotshot on the low end, you're probably going to be about, this is a full week, right? This is you being able to run, Monday to Sunday, your drop off. This is from drop off to drop off, right? So let's say you have an over the weekend load, you drop it off on Monday. That's the first load that we're going to count here. I'd say you can definitely, if you're running good, stay over $6,000 per week. On the high side, I'd say is going to be about $10,000 to maybe even $11,000 per week. Obviously, you're going to have really good weeks every now and then where you're doing 11, 12, 13. And you're going to have bad weeks where you're doing 55 or 5. But I'd say realistically, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 range per week is a realistic number to shoot for. I'd say we probably average about $7,500 to $8,000 per week average there. And yeah, it works out really well. Now, same thing with your cost per mile. Now, having a CDL setup, you're probably going to have, realistically, you have a nicer equipment, right? Your trailer's probably worth more money, so you have a higher trailer payment. Your truck's probably worth more money, so you have a higher truck payment. Your insurance might cost a little bit more because you have nicer insurance, so you have a higher insurance payment. You're hauling more weight, therefore, your fuel economy is probably not as good as a non-CDL could be. Therefore, you're going to have a higher fuel cost, and the little things like that. So your cost per mile, like your operating cost per mile, it's probably going to be a little bit higher than a non-CDL Hotshot. I'd say maybe $1.50, $1.60 per mile. Depending on how much money you want to put in savings, you could do about $1.80 per mile. But I really feel like there's a lot more of an area there for profit, right? Let's say your cost per mile is $1.60, but you're averaging, $2.30 per mile. That's 70 cents per mile that the business is profiting. With non-CDL Hotshot, they're probably roughly around 40 cents per mile that the business is profiting. But the same thing goes, if you run more miles, your overall cost is going to be less because the fixed costs are going to get divided into more miles. Obviously, you might have more maintenance down the road if you run more miles, but there's that. So that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. I hope you guys can understand it. I'd say, average rate per mile for CDL Hotshot is going to be roughly $2.30 or more, $2.30, $2.50. Average rate per mile for a non-CDL is probably $1.60 to $1.80. You're going to have a lot more opportunity with CDL to find freight. You have a lot more opportunity to stay loaded and get out of tough areas. Non-CDL is going to be a little bit harder, but obviously you don't have to have a CDL to operate the vehicle. You have a lower cost per mile, and yeah. But I say non-CDL looking at about $4,000 to $6,000 per week realistically, and then with CDL you're looking at about, I'd say, $6,000 to $9,000 realistically. Obviously, you can have $10,000, $11,000 weeks as well. Areas I'd stay in if I was doing Hotshot, if I'm getting started, I want to stay in the Midwest, guys. I'm telling you, that's where it's at. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, Cincinnati, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, Louisville, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Indiana, St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri has always been really well. Fort Worth, Texas has always done really well for us. Those big cities over in that area, you can go to North Carolina too. Charlotte, North Carolina has done good for us. That area, Atlanta, Georgia, man, like that area right there is where I would say the money definitely is. And so wherever you live really depends on how much you should be home. If you're somebody in California trying to make a lot of money doing Hotshot, or this coast, Utah, Arizona, you're going to probably have to stay out a lot longer to make the most amount of money possible, because you're going to have to travel back to your home. A lot of the money isn't around this area where I'm at in Utah. It's over in the Midwest. And so you're gonna want to be traveling. You're gonna want to stay out longer and not have to travel home. Now, if you live in like Cincinnati, Ohio, or St. Louis, Missouri, chances are you might be able to get home, once a week, or more, because you can get yourself to those areas pretty easily. And I never feel scared being in St. Louis, Missouri. When it comes to finding freight, I always know we can find something good. Same with Chicago, same with Cincinnati, same with these areas. Is if you live in those areas, you can definitely be home probably once a week, or just stop by, stay a night at your house, take a week off. But I definitely say, if you want to make good money doing hotshot, stay on the road 3 weeks at a time. Maybe take 5 days off. That's if you really want to make it. If you're doing semi-trucking, you want to come over to hotshot, I'd say don't expect the same number of growth, but your overhead's probably going to be a lot less. And if you're somebody who has a lot of time doing semi-truck, and you just kind of want to take things a lot calmer, I'd say you can still profit a good amount of money doing hotshot. But obviously you're not going to be looking at exactly the same numbers as you did doing, a semi-truck. It's not the same. But yeah, guys, I want to talk about this a little bit. But if you guys have any questions, any comments, drop them down below. But give the video a like if you're not subscribed to the channel. Think about subscribing. I think we're at like 2,600 subscribers. I love all you guys. I thank you guys for being here. And I hope you all have a great day.